welcome to Brands Hatch for one of the busiest events of the year. It's the A1GP meeting. There's tens of thousands of people here, and coming up is the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy. The A1GP meeting came up with quite a surprise, as I discovered when I met Alan Jones in the Team Australia garage. Alan, you're 1980 Formula One World Champion, and you're here obviously with Team Australia for A1GP meeting this weekend. How's your involvement with the Lotus Elise Trophy come about?
Well, we met the guys and we were watching them practice yesterday, and we were reasonably impressed with the way they looked and sounded, and they're well presented. And Terry McEnroth, who's the chairman of Gold Coast Events, got talking to the appropriate people, and I think we've done an agreement for them to come to Australia, which is fantastic.
It's fantastic for Lotus and for yourselves as well. I mean, we get huge grids with this championship. So in terms of coming to Australia, a fantastic agreement to support the A1GP meeting, is it?
Oh, absolutely, and it's on the fabulous Gold Coast in Australia, which will be about 30 degrees because it's only spring rather, sorry, and I'm sure everyone will enjoy themselves. I'm just scared they won't want to come back, but they might stay there.
Next, I caught up with a very special new driver who will join the series at the Lotus Celebration Round at Snetterton. Andy Green, you're the current land world speed record holder. Tell us about that.
Well, I was very lucky 12 years ago to be part of Richard Noble's Thrust Supersonic car team to set what is the current world land speed record, 763 miles an hour, and of course, more importantly, the first and still only supersonic world land speed record.
What's your involvement with Lotus?
Well, I'm very lucky through Paul Golding and MSV Racing to actually have access to this Lotus. They painted it up in the Bloodhound colours and actually put some sponsors' names on the side to allow me, first of all, to get to a couple of tracks and talk about Bloodhound, but more importantly, to practice some racing skills, to actually learn the three states of a car. Loads of grip, about the limit of grip, and oh dear, I've got to do something about this or I'm going off at the next corner, which is exactly the same sort of process you go through driving at 600 miles an hour when the car starts to slide around. Went through it with Thrust SSC, sure Bloodhound will be like that. So track racing here, being part of the Elise Trophy Cup, is part of my workup to drive the Bloodhound next year.
There's quite literally thousands of people standing by to watch as over 40 cars make their way on track for the race. Let's take a quick look at the grid.
A huge field here at Brands Hatch, and they're headed by Jamie Stanley, who will share the front row with Chris Randall. Steve Williams is on row 2 alongside Ben Pitch. Scott Cruikshank lines up 5th on the grid, and alongside him, another of the 211 drivers from the Lotus Cup Europe, and that is Jonathan Walker. Further back on the grid, Pat McBennett is 12th. He could be one to watch, as will Doug Setters be, because he's always a quick driver as well. Hans Baumhart, 25th, out qualifying Harry Steegmans, another of the Lotus Cup Europe drivers. And Paul Harding is 28th in the production class battle, of course, and he's one to watch there as well. Joanna Hoddinott is 40th, having gone reasonably well at Silverstone in the opening 2 races of the series. And this 44-car grid completed by Peter Trott. We're ready then for 20 minutes of racing for the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy. Drivers look towards the lights, which go red. Engine notes rise, the lights go out now, and a good start made from the second row of the grid there by Steve Williams. Jamie Stanley went well, and then I think has just lost out a little bit as they've got up through the gears, heading towards paddock, and Jamie slots in 3rd place as they go then through paddock for the first time. And this is a bit heart in mouth with 44 cars to make sure that everybody survives safely. So far, so good. And then up towards Druids on lap number 1 as Ben Pitch there goes around the outside of Steve Williams, dropping down then for the first time towards the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. It looks like Chris Randall it is in the Europa, who is up front at the moment, and then everybody else trying to be second. Jamie Stanley gets second place back then. Underrated, underfunded driver, Jamie, but very, very quick indeed, and he's going to be a real thorn in the side of the regulars in the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy in this. He's not able to do every round, but when he is on track, he's going to take some stopping. Onto the Grand Prix section of the circuit for the first time. Russ Treasure going a little bit wide in the background there. Ben Pitch accelerating his way down towards Hawthorn, the head of Jonathan Walker, and the 2 race leaders overlapping. Jamie Stanley goes right round the outside, a very brave move that, and it's worked for him. Jamie Stanley takes over the race lead now. Steve Williams also attacking and trying to go through on the inside there, which he does to take second place away from Chris Randall, and Conor Finn with the wheels all over the curb and the grass there, trying to squeeze up the inside. He's not quite been able to take third place, but not for the want of trying. That was very close indeed as the cars turned their way through Westfield. Now, up through Sheen Curve for the first time on towards Stirling's. Jamie Stanley it is in the lead, and it looks as though he's getting away. Jonathan Walker goes through, number 123, and he's the man at the moment leading the Lotus Cup Europe element of the race, but he's got alongside him his main rival, Scott Cruikshank, who goes through. The man from Aberdeen takes over the lead, the two 211s running nose to tail then as they make their way up over the line. At the end of that one, Jamie Stanley leads the way, but there are some fantastic tussles going on right the way through the field, up towards paddock, and now Scott Cruikshank in the lead of the 211 class trying to shake off Jonathan Walker. Perfect conditions here, big crowd at Brands Hatch as well, and some superb racing being turned in by the Lotuses. Up they go now towards the hairpin at Druids. Jamie Stanley trying to build the race lead here over the opposition, headed by Chris Randall. The production class drivers come pouring their way out of the right-hand from paddock, and that off the road, one of the Exeges, number 12 it is, who's had a moment, and that, I'm afraid, is Chris Baker. Not sure there's any damage. Hopefully he's going to be able to rejoin, but it's looking a bit bleak. I think Chris Baker is about to become the race's first retirement here. The leaders in the meantime turn their way up through Westfield. Here's a replay. Chris Baker gets a wheel onto the dirt, spins it around. He does in fact hit the barriers, yes, headbutts the tyres, and that means the car is parked by the side of the road as Jamie Stanley continues to build the lead here at Brands Hatch. Steve Williams it is in second place, Chris Randall it is third, Conor Finn fourth, but for how much longer? Ben Pitch right up behind him now as they turn their way out of Stirling's. Yellow flag being waved, safety car boards are there, and that is because of Chris Baker's car that has gone off the road coming out of Druids. So we go safety car. There is the safety car ready to pick up the leaders. Chris Baker is okay. He gets out of his rather battle-scarred bright yellow highlighter pen that's parked by the side of the road. And the race leaders then now tucked up behind the safety car, and Jamie Stanley's lead has evaporated, of course, under the safety car conditions like this, because everybody bunches up, and it means he's going to have to be very keen at the restart in order to build up that advantage once again. Cars pouring their way through Sheen Curve. Saw Tom Chataway going through, number 62 with his 211. Are we going to go racing this time? Yes, we are, because the safety car peels back in. The green flag is waved. We're racing once more as Jamie Stanley accelerates up now towards paddock, and Sean Bicknell, Silverstone winner, they're saying to gain ground on the inside here, coming up towards paddock. He can't find a way past Jonathan Walker, who slams the door in his face, and so Sean Bicknell in the Audi engine next siege for the moment at least has to stay behind as Ben Pitch tries to get past Conor Finn, and that is Chris Headlam losing out to Scott Cruikshank on the inside. Cruikshank in the 211 goes through, another place gained. Not only, of course, is that a place gained overall, but it's also another car between him and his class rival in the person of Jonathan Walker. It means that Cruikshank now has a little bit more breathing space here. Up they go towards the left-hander at Surtees, and then onto the fabulous Grand Prix loop here at Brands Hatch. Jamie Stanley continuing now to pull away from the rest of them. Now, what can Sean Bicknell do? He was mighty impressive at Silverstone in terms of his speed there, but for the moment he is still struggling to get right up with the leading group. Stanley heading Williams, and look at this for fourth place. Conor Finn defending from Ben Pitch. Conor Finn is certainly a spectacular driver, very, very feisty, and that's why Ben Pitch for the moment is not able to find a way past him. He's tried the inside, he's tried the outside, now he goes to the inside again, coming up through Dingledale, but Conor Finn has the line covered, hangs on to the place, and both of them now are being caught by Scott Cruikshank. Look, Cruikshank in the 211 heading the Lotus Cup Europe element of this race. It's the opening rounds of Lotus Cup Europe here this weekend, but will then move on to have standalone races later in the season. Good numbers of cars here this weekend, and full grids promised for the subsequent round at Zandvoort. So Lotus Cup Europe, I think, is going to be another success story. Leaders across the line. 44 cars started this race, and a great scrap going on here. Look between Finn and Pitch, and Conor Finn it is just ahead as they turn through paddock. Conor Finn gets it wrong, bit of a twitch, wheel in the dirt, delays himself. Ben Pitch lines up to have a go on the inside there, but he can't quite find a way by. Conor Finn once again slams the door shut in the face of Ben Pitch, and Pitch, of course, here conscious of just how close Scott Cruikshank is behind him. Down they come now through Graham Hill Bend onto Cooper Straight. Ben Pitch delayed a little bit there, goes defensive on the inside. Cruikshank tries to level on the outside line, but he can't find a way through. into the braking area for Surtees. Scott Cruikshank tries to go round on the outside line there, but it's just not going to work for him. Look how defensive Ben Pitch is, hugging the middle of the road there, making Cruikshank really have to work hard if he wants to go past him on either the inside or the outside line. And all of this means now that Conor Finn has disappeared further up the road. They're being caught as well by Chris Headlam as they turn their way up now towards Westfield. They come out of Hawthorns up towards the right-hander, and having said that Finn had disappeared up the road, now it looks like Ben Pitch is catching it once again. So has Finn got a problem, because all of that time has suddenly disappeared, and Ben Pitch makes his move on the inside now, coming up through Dingle He's level with it, but no, never say die. Conor Finn hangs on to the place. Pitch now having to fend off Cruikshank, and then Chris Headlam is joining in as well. Fantastic racing this. Was it a problem? Was it a missed gear? Well, either way, Finn lost time, and Cruikshank nearly loses everything coming out of Sterling's big slide, and that was the save of the day. The marshals took a step back. They thought it was heading for the barrier, and now Cruikshank gets himself on the dirt with a bit of help from Jonathan Walker coming down towards Clark Curve. It's cost him places. It's cost him the class lead, though, more significantly. Over the line, Finn still with Ben Pitch monstering him. Then you can see Chris Headlam, number 55 there, joining the party once again as they turn their way towards Druids. And here is a replay of how Scott Cruikshank's day started to go south. Sideways, coming out of Sterling's big tank slapper. He managed to avoid clattering off the guardrail, but only just. And Ben Pitch has done it. He's got ahead of Finn. Look, coming out of Surtees. He's gone by, and that's Cruikshank off the road again. Having developed a likeness for the grass at Sterling's, now he goes lawnmower racing coming out of Surtees, and another place is lost, and Conor Finn's problems persist, I fear, because not only now has Pitch got ahead of him, but Chris Headlam has gone through as well. Conor Finn having a very strong first element to the race, now losing a couple of places, and the Irishman trying to fight back, but it just looks like the car is weaker now. Replay here of Cruikshank just carrying too much speed into Surtees. Rides over the curb, all over the grass, back on track. Meantime, the fight for second place rages on. Race leader, remember, Jamie Stanley, is almost ready to start race 2. So far ahead is he, but this is for second place. It's Steve Williams just keeping at bay Chris Randall. Randall, remember, with this unique Lotus Europa that made its race debut and won at Silverstone, right on the tail now of Steve Williams. Over the line they come up towards Paddock Hill Bend. The two of them set the cars up for the right-hander. Drop downhill, the road plunges away, and now the climb up towards the hairpin. Randall makes his move on the inside, but Williams has the line covered. Absolutely fantastic battle. This is for second place in the third race in the Lotus on-track Elise Trophy, being led by Jamie Stanley, and there's more action to come right after the break.